I'm throwing stuff out there. It's been because I am enjoying a period of irregular scheduling because I am on freelance until I find a contract for work. Um, I don't know when I'm going to be driving, until like I've either made a decision about what I'm doing the night before or I make a decision sometime while I am going through my dawn ritual, right? Because I got rituals I do before I go to bed and rituals I do before I wake up. And often I plan the particular of tomorrow during one of those, or it gets seated as I feel things out. Often I'm thinking of like stuff I like to do on the daily regardless, such as working out, so on and so forth. So a lot of that, because that's what a lot of my brain power for a day thinks about on the regular, is the maintenance of the body, because of how many years I've not been used to that in my mind, and so I'm playing catch up for 40 years of bad habits that I need to eradicate within myself. Hey, what's up, Saniko? Good dawn to you. Just to let you know that a big part of the new me is vernacular, right? I've half the reason why I don't broadcast as much like the way other people do is that I'm actually working on my wording, right? And when I'm talking now, it's because I've reached a point where within the context of subject matters, of daily correspondences, I've figured out a certain level of vernacular, right? Because I'm playing on that level of such subtle psychic influence that I do not use the word mourn in context to how I greet the sun when it rises and initiates the day. So I like to say Grand Rising, like the nerds in the New Age movement, or Good Dawn. Or some variant as such. Something that is completely entrenched with positive affirmation, right? This is the idea, right? This is the mindset. Like you're poking aspects of the bear you didn't even know you were poking, right? You didn't know that the world, was trying just to ruin your day by telling you the proper parlance for every time the sun rises, is that it is a mournful event. And it is a process of becoming mourned, thus mourning. But that's not the proper context, right? Like, it's either that we are using mourning improperly when we call our grieving process upon death, or it's the improper context for the way in which you refer to the rising sun. And just to raise the question of this awareness, that is why we talk like this. Now, if there is a new revelation, right, that can also change things. And, in fact, some people are operating from the context of it being a nautical term in which the N was added later to turn it into mooring, and that it's mooring, like you're mooring a boat in the harbor, right? James True likes to do good mooring, right? And I love people that like to make those change-ups, right? I think that is part of the subtle ways that you break pattern. And you will never understand a concept like breaking pattern. Hey, talking about breaking patterns, here's Matrix Break, who has gone through a couple of names now, and I like what she's doing when she considers her name changes. But yeah, because this just comes part and parcel with your ability to be undefeated in the world, right? It's like we don't talk on their terms. You will eventually reach a point. It'll be a very powerful point for you because it gets the results that you want. But it also will make you, under a lot of general conversation, become incoherent to the profane. You know, when you've mastered your ability to talk this way and to know that the only people that you need to worry about understanding you outside of the desired personal effects that you're looking for are people that know you and care about you enough to listen, right? So, you know, this is part of the wisdom in the Havamal. This is part of knowing the poetic prose because of the application of the poetic prose in your manner of communication, right? This is a hermeneutical gift to the photonic consciousness, is to be able to retort what you don't like in a poetic prose, you know, or to do whatever you got to do in this poetic style, right? And your poetic style can help you answer a question properly that was designed to entrap you, but you succeeded in answering the question without getting entrapped, thus confounding the trickster. Thus confounding the trickster as you strengthen your footing, right? This is all part and parcel of it, right? It's the manner in which I approach people when I'm doing interviews, you know, to get a new job, right? How do I precisely do this where I feel the syncretic energy cohesion, right? You know, the vibe level, the vibe check of, is this my job? Is this a good job? Is this a good fit? I'm gonna like working with this people. Am I gonna like the demands of it? Is this contract going to really be as acceptable to me in execution as it sounds on paper? You know, the boss, you know, the hiring people can chat my ear off all they want about how good this fucking job looks on paper. I can't fucking give the most absolute tremendous amount of assurity of keeping that job before I've done it for a week or two and get that vibe of like, okay, what is everybody like around here? What are people's personalities? Yada, yada, yada. Right? And I had to deal with a whole lot of that. Like, where I worked before in Darien, that was a tougher place to get along with people because they're very, very odd, and they're very, very odd culture over there. Hard to technically describe. Very, very waspy, I suppose you could say. But I did just fine. I did just fine because of a baseline, universal concept of what it is to be respected and respectable, to hold your posture, yada, 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 and your status doesn't matter when that status is only a state of mind. It's just like, yeah, I'm a peon on paper, and thus it defines a certain parameters of my authority and responsibilities and et cetera, et cetera. You know, but in my mind, I'm the master of myself, who has agreed to contractually take orders, and, you know, like this is the mind. I don't care what the fucking law fucking says about it, because I'm not in violation of any fucking law. The only thing that anybody can fucking do is fucking fire you. And that's a much more fucking nuanced game than just, oh, this contract for this work agreement sucks. It's a far more nuanced game than that, because, you know, people can almost completely fucking forget, you know, that you might be dealing with a man who knows who he is walking in the door. And just because he needs a job doesn't mean that the man who knows who he is can be treated like any other schmuck who needs a job. It's just in the dignity that they carry themselves in, and the respect, and so on and so forth. Yes. I was going, alright, let's take a look here. Expanding your lexicon. Yes, my lexicon. Even that word is an expansion of lexicon. I'm looking at meaning of morning. I'm trying to find the... Yeah, okay. So one of those things that morning and morning are similar sounding. Yeah, but here's the thing about the sounds, right? It's just like, there's a spelling... The spelling is inferior to the verbal. You understand, right? The highest material form of communication that keeps it in its purest to the interdimensional psychic gnosis, if you will, that comes from the Akash or the halls of Amente. These things are not meant to be written down and put into the two-dimensional, right? So meaning gets depersonalized, limited, corrupted in the two-dimensional, right? So in the verbal, morning is morning, and that's how it hits your ears, right? So you have to know that the vowels are a particularly kind of fluid thing, all right? I mean, especially when you look at this whole game that they play in Hebrew with the letters being a completely fluid thing. For that, that's what runs correspondent to the most widespread known use of magic sigil crafting, like in Thelema and things like that, where they, you know, you're taking consonants in an archaic language or archaic alphabet or whatever, and then manipulating them and merging them together to form your symbols and so on and so forth, right? So morning and morning, it's the same fucking thing. That's the first thing you need to know. Doesn't matter, like those silent letters, if it's a vowel, it doesn't matter. Like the word night, right? The word night's got this silent K, the kniggets, as as Monty Python points out, right? Singly English kniggets. You know, so, you know, the night, you know, there's probably a relationship to the old Germanic concept of a kenning in what they do. There's probably kenning that is supposed to be in the original craft of whatever these types of persons that there were before we had knights in the Christian era, right? You know, going back to archaic tongues that then got strangled into more rigid academic literary systems. So anyway, I got Jordan is asking, who is they? Well, you have to bring in the context to what you mean by that. In what context did I say the word they? That pronoun pops up in many different contexts, and I'm talking in a flow state of consciousness here, not within a parameter of a subject. So just letting you know that, Jordan, right? Now, now you see, because I'm driving, right? This is all off the cuff. Now, if I was sitting down at my desk, had a subject matter, and I'm giving you really well prepared thoughts involving the pronoun of they, then we're having a different conversation where I don't have to ask you what you mean by that context, right? Because you have to understand that the reason why that is the pronoun is because there are warring factions that are not friends with each other. And so just because you've been attacked by one group doesn't mean that all your attacks are coming from the same group. Nor does it mean you're so special that they're fighting over you. It's just that you're so ignorant that you just keep walking into their battlefields, right? And you're getting hit as an accessory to their nonsense, If you want to be an impact in the world, you have to walk into their battlefield consciously and nullify it, right? That's how you really fucking win that game. Anyway, I'm going to get ready to do some lifting. I'll catch you guys later.